had a chance to go back and have a look at the terms of reference, but it seemed to me that maybe quite a limited portion of it may fall within the terms of reference. So that's why I sent the message, so that you could apply your mind before we start, so that you could enlighten me if your submission is that all of it does fall within the terms of reference. Because across the breadth and length of the country, there would be many people who have been sidelined and have been ill-treated and who have been denied promotions that they deserved, and so on and so on. But not all of those people, not all of their cases fall within the terms of reference. We must always ask ourselves the question, how does this fall within the terms of reference, so that we don't end up spending time on matters that might not fall within the terms of reference. So you have had the time to have a look, and maybe you might point out things that I might not have had a chance to look at.
Yes, Chair. Chair, I thank you for the courtesy of trying to get hold of me in order to ask me to apply my mind to that issue. Unfortunately, I was consulting with General Lebeya this morning, but it so turns out that that is the first issue that I addressed with him, although I didn't get the message. So it is something that I have discussed with him, and I also have had a difficulty, particularly with all the detail about the trial in the Labour Court, and I wasn't proposing to deal with that in any real detail. Regarding the terms of reference, Chair, if...
One second. Where is my blue book that has got the terms of reference? Why is it put there? Yes.
If I might just point out at the beginning, the statement submitted to the Commission was submitted by General Lebeya himself.
Please don't stand too far from your microphone, otherwise I can't hear you.
Sorry. I'd like to point out at the outset that the affidavit prepared by General Lebeya was prepared by him. He is a highly educated man. He has a doctorate in law. Secondly,
but of course you are the people who needed to read it and
yes.
say and see whether
yes.
What it contains falls within the terms of reference, and if you didn't think so, raise that with him and hear what he has to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
As I have understood his statement, and it has been clarified this morning, is that General Lebeya is of the firm view that his treatment was as a direct result of his involvement in the murder case involving, I can just get his name correctly, Tefo Opa Ramochibi, and also in investigating the irregularities at crime intelligence. And in essence, he says that after the Commissioner, General Piecheka, was appointed, her attitude to him changed completely once she became aware that he had been involved in these investigations. And he believes that his treatment from then on...
But I don't think that... I don't remember seeing anything in the statement that necessarily connects or that says that it was because Ms. Piecha had become aware of his role in that regard I don't remember seeing something that is to that effect. What does appear from the statement is that Ms. Pierre, quite early after she had arrived, seemed to ignore him in circumstances where he was one of her deputies, seemed to ignore him and didn't include him in the Dumela sessions that she was going around about. And of course, a number of things emerged from the statement that seem to suggest that for some reason she either didn't like him or didn't want to give him the recognition that he deserved. But what is not clear is what that reason is, and whether that reason would be something connected with anything in the terms of reference.
Chair,
Well, actually, after I'd finished reading the statement, I wondered whether it's not premature to hear Dr. Lebeya's evidence, because the question that I had was, has there been proper investigation of the issues that are dealt with in the statement? Because maybe a deeper and proper investigation might actually bring about things that will connect what was done to him properly with the terms of reference of the Commission. There are documents that he refers to that he could not place before me because they remain classified. I don't know if anybody has made any attempt to have those documents declassified so that we could see whether the contents of those documents enlighten us as to what was known by the authorities about him, what they may have said about him. There is the one remark which was told to him by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi when he was acting National Commissioner, that in a meeting that he had with the former president said he kept on hearing Lebeya, 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 who is this Lebeya? And but when you leave it like that, it's not terribly helpful. So it may well be that a deeper investigation would be able to reveal something, because when you read it, you feel that there must have been something. What was it? But I don't think it comes out as clearly as one would like from the statement.
yes.
But you tell me what you have to say.
If I could refer you to page 11, paragraph 30 of the statement. You'll see that it said there that on the 1st of July 2009, General Mdluli was appointed as the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence. You will see that it was only about 6 weeks later that General Mdluli, an investigation was commissioned by the Deputy Provincial Commissioner Engelbrecht into in essence, a cold case, and that was the death of Opa Ramogebi. Now, that death had occurred in 2002. It had been sent for inquest, and
Yes,
nothing
no, I know
further
that
had happened.
part.
You know the background.
I know, I've read the whole statement.
Yes. So what he says is after he is tasked with this resuscitation of this investigation, he says in paragraph 32, Chair, on the same day of 17 August 2009, Divisional Commissioner Raymond Lalla drafted a covering letter to send the missive from Engelbrecht to Deputy National Commissioner Dramat for attention. Dramat assigned the investigation to me. I accepted the instruction and executed it. I had no slightest idea that this would become a career-limiting undertaking.
No, I know all of that. I know all of that. What I'm looking for is the connection with the terms of reference. There certainly are certain portions of his statement that may appear to be the kind of thing we are investigating.
Yes.
But my impression is that a large portion of the statement might not be. But it may be that with further investigation and deeper investigation, something can be found that would make it quite clear that it's what we are looking for. Part of the concern I have with using Dr. Lebeya's role in that investigation is that he says later on he recommended that it should be done by Mr. Ntlameza, and it went to Mr. Ntlameza, which seems to suggest to me that he didn't take it to any conclusion that anybody could feel to justify saying the way he did that investigation offended so and so therefore did ABCD. It seems he did it, or rather it was with him for a certain time, but then he moved it to Mr. Ntlameza. And then Mr. Ntlameza continued with it, reached a certain conclusion which involved saying there was a conspiracy. A number of people, I think including Dr. Lebeya, were involved in a conspiracy against Mr. Mdluli. And then later on, an investigation initiated by the minister, I can't remember which one, the minister, resulted in a finding that rejected Mr. Ntlameza's finding of a conspiracy, and in that way cleared Dr. Lebeya and those other police officers who had been alleged to have had a conspiracy against Mr. Mdluli. So I got the impression that maybe some deeper investigation may need to be done to see whether there is enough that ensures that most of what is in the statement falls within the terms of reference. It may be that your investigators will say, no, deep investigation was done. There is nothing more that can be done. This is all that there is. In which case then one can make a decision knowing that there is nothing further. For example, I don't know, maybe you do know, has any investigator gone to Ms. Biekha and say, why did you do this to Dr. Lebeya? Why did you get your junior to deal with it, to talk to him about ABCD? Why did you not include him and his department or his unit in the Dumela session? There are a number of things that could be asked. Now, it may be that when she is interviewed and she is asked about these things, maybe some answers that she will give could help clear this thing up. For argument's sake, what if she were to say, it's because I had been told to sideline him, and I'd been told by so and so and so and so. Until you interview her, you don't know whether that's what she will tell you.
Chair, in regard to that, the previous commissioner has actually approached the commission pursuant to the receipt of a Rule 33 notice. She has said she would like to make a statement, and she has indicated in that statement, I saw this I think a day or two ago, she has indicated in that statement that the General is incorrect in his perception. It was just a personal difference that they had between each other, that essentially there was, it had nothing to do with a sinister motive. That is her version. So I don't believe and obviously she will now be consulted, she's asked for that, and I will certainly make sure that she is consulted. But from understanding what she has said in response to the Rule 33 notice, her version is that there was no sinister motive. I was not punishing him because he was involved in the Mdluli investigation.
That's very important, but it goes back to the question I was asking. Has she been approached?
As yet, she hasn't.
And
Perhaps.
And it's wrong that she has not been approached.
Yes.
The legal team is wrong not to have done that.
Yes.
The investigators are wrong not to have done that. But more than the investigators, I blame the legal team.
Yes, I understand.
Because the legal team must guide the investigators.
Yes.
When they read this statement, they see all of these things. Before arrangements are made for the witness to come and give evidence, the legal team must say, hang on, there are too many things.
Let's get her version.
There are. But more than anything,
Yes.
members of the legal team must ask with regard to each witness, how does this witness evidence fit into the terms of reference?
Yes.
For each witness, that question must be asked. And no member of the legal team should not be ready to deal with that question.
Yes.
Now, if Ms. Pierre says, as you say, she has said that it was because of personal differences, it goes back to the question I was raising to say, the way that Dr. Lebeya was ill-treated as reflected in the statement, can it be said that it falls within the terms of reference? Was it corruption? Was it fraud? Was it state capture? Or could it be that maybe she just didn't like him for whatever reason, which would be wrong itself, but not everything that is wrong falls within the terms of reference of the commission?
Yes.
You see? And
I understand that.
And the legal team should do this.
Yes.
We shouldn't have a situation where a day has been set aside for me to hear the evidence of a witness, and then we can't hear, and the day is wasted because there is a problem about whether the evidence of that witness should falls within the terms of reference of the commission.
Yes, Chair, I understand and I do appreciate that. And I must say that it was concerning me, and that is why when I consulted this morning again with General Lebeya, I said, I'm concerned that does this fall within the terms of reference? But I agree, perhaps we need to do further investigation. But if perhaps the matter could stand down so that I could just discuss it with General Lebeya, and he can also give me just a 15-minute adjournment so that I can discuss this with him and find out if there are facts that he can allude to that could further support a direct link. Because how
is that going to help for today's purposes if those facts are not here? already.
Yes, I understand. Then we have problems with Rule 3.3
It's
notices.
work that should have been done a long time ago.
Yes.
I see that his affidavit was deposed to on the 11th of November 2019.
Yes,
That means it's been more than 2 months. And I assume that this is now, so it is a statement that was prepared, that's on the letterheads of the commission, or that has been put on the commission. I assume that the commission investigators and the legal team got it soon after that. And somebody in the legal team, as soon as it arrived, should have read it and asked himself or herself the question that I'm asking. And all of that should have been dealt with in November, long before now.
yes, Chair, I do appreciate that, and I must say that when I originally read the statement, because of what was said in that opening statement, I believed that there was this connection, and he was, in essence, being punished for his involvement in the Nduli investigations.
What facts in the
And-
statement did you base that on?
Where he says, which I quoted to you earlier, Chair, I think it was paragraph 15.
Yeah, but you can't base your conclusion on that simple, bold allegation.
Yes,
You've got to say, where are the facts that support that allegation?
Yes, and
I don't
Chair,
see them.
in preparing again through the statement last night after the testimony finished, that very fact concerned me. And I read it again, and I looked again, and I looked carefully, and it did concern me. So
You see,
I have to agree with you, because it is the issue that I canvassed. I also must accept that I should have realized that earlier, and I was wrong in that respect. I must accept that, and I apologize for that.
yes, you see, if that issue, if somebody in the legal team had applied his or her mind properly on the statement soon after it had arrived, this could have been avoided.
Yes, I agree.
This could have been avoided. And as it seems now, we are going to lose a day. And we don't
Yes,
have a
it's
lot of time.
unfortunate.
Every hour counts. We need every day.
Yes,
Please pass on the message to all the members of the legal team that this type of homework must be done. Maybe before I decide whether there will be a short break or not, let me talk to Dr. Lebeya. Dr. Lebeya, you understand the exchange that I've had with counsel?
I do, Chairperson.
Yes. It may be that from your side, you can see the connection that I'm struggling to see at the moment, but it may be that it's because of other things that you know that might not be in the statement. I don't know. But you understand what the concern is. It's not to say there is nothing in the statement that could fall within the terms of reference. Some of it looks like it does, but a lot of it doesn't seem to fall within the terms of reference. But what I think maybe I should do is adjourn for a short break to enable counsel to have a discussion with you, and the two of you can discuss. When I come back, we can then see where we go.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Is that all right?
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah. And if we end up not being able to continue today, it's not because of anything wrong you have done. You haven't done anything wrong. I'm going to take an adjournment now. Is 15 minutes going to be enough? Or must we take a little longer than that?
Perhaps could we take 30 minutes?
30 minutes.
Is that long?
Okay, it's 11 o'clock, so we'll adjourn until 11:30. We adjourn.
All rise.
That's right. Because
But beyond that, Judge, she also requested further details
Yes.
of some of the allegations that were contained in the affidavit.
Yes.
And in order
Do you know how long ago she made contact with
she
the
made
commission?
contact, the notice was served on her on the 13th of December
Yes.
of 2019.
Yes.
The contact was, she made contact with them in writing via email on the 23rd of December
Okay.
2019.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there hasn't been an acknowledgement nor a response, and that was some of the housekeeping issues that I was going to address
Yes.
Judge
Yes.
on earlier.
Yes.
But I didn't want to interrupt your
My discussion with,
Yes.
yes, no, that's
Thank you,
fine.
Judge. And those have been listed, and if there is any difficulties, I will forward the very same email to my colleagues again.
Yes, okay.
But
okay.
one of the most important issues is that, Judge, I also been asked to place on record yesterday's evidence from the previous witness as well. I think it's retired Colonel
Loggerenberg, yeah.
Judge, neither General Piega nor the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner in Gobeni have been given the Rule 3.3 notice.
Is that so?
That is correct, my Judge. So that is the one of the aspects that I was specifically asked to raise
Yes.
with the Commission, that it could be a housekeeping issue,
Yes.
but it is absolutely prejudicial because
Yes.
they learnt about it in the press release
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes.
And it's quite unfair
Yeah.
and prejudicial to them. And
Yeah.
it has certain consequences as well. But they do wish to place their response on affidavit.
Yes,
So they
yes.
would appreciate the
Yes.
relevant notices to enable them to take
Yes.
their necessary steps in terms of Rule 3.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Judge, and then the next aspect that I was asked to raise in the Commission, and this is not to repeat anything that Judge has earlier addressed, my
Yes.
learned friend, was that both, especially General Piega, in respect of this witness, has raised pertinent requests, and she would want them to be attended to as quick as possible so that she can file her affidavit. And obviously in the process of applying to cross-examine if necessary, it might very well be so that the witness does not want to lead certain evidence
Yes.
or be cross-examined.
Yes.
And he
yes.
has that right
Yes,
as well.
yes.
So therefore, it is quite imperative that the Commission at least request my learned friends, if not order, that the legal team or the investigators furnish us with that information and the various notices that I've mentioned.
Yes, no, that should be done, but as you heard me say earlier on,
Yes.
investigating means that when you hear one person saying certain things about another person, you also go to that other person and say, what do you know about this? This is what I'm hearing. Hear what that person has to say, so that you have a full and balanced picture of what the position is. So that's why I raised the concern when I heard that General Piega had not been interviewed in regard to these matters, so that when a matter is brought here, there's been proper investigation. Ms. Wenzel already told me that Ms. Piega has said that whatever happened between her and Dr. Lebeya was personal, if I understood her correctly.
Judge, may I just correct that perception?
Yeah, no, correct it
I
later.
don't think...
Correct it later.
Okay.
But what needs to be done is confirmation that the things that Dr. Lebeya says were done to him. As far as Ms. Piega is concerned, what her own version and circumstances are, which she puts forward about those things, so that we have a full picture. She might say, I didn't do those things, or yes, I did them, but I was justified because of A, B, C, D, and it's not necessarily because of any corruption or whatever. And this witness might be able, after being finished with what she has to say, no, that's not true. Go and look at A, B, C, D, which will contradict what she is saying. That kind of investigation should be done.
I agree with Judge that ought to have been done on a preliminary basis. But one of the aspects that I may raise, and I think it's very pertinent that we correct it, she has not made a statement, nor has she agreed, Judge. And that's why I think the perception has to be corrected.
Yes.
She hasn't agreed that she's done any of the things that are being complained of in the manner in which it's being complained of.
Okay.
And she merely wanted an opportunity to have all these documents furnished to her in order that she may respond to the allegations contained in the affidavit, and obviously then it can be dealt with more comprehensively. And Judge, you are correct, a proper investigation is absolutely required. No one has approached it to date in that respect.
Okay, no. Thank you very much. I'm sure Ms. Wenzel will talk to me about the complaint relating to the former provincial, she's former now, eh?
His former provincial commissioner General in Ngubeni. Yes.
Yeah, as well as somebody else. You mentioned.
I also mentioned General Piega and in Ngubeni did not get the Rule 33 notices in respect of the previous witness, the former Colonel Loggerenberg.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Wenzel?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I don't have...
Do you want to deal with this first before you report back?
Yes, if I could deal with this first, it would be convenient. First, with regard to the fact that Rule 33 notices were not sent to General Lebeya or the former provincial commissioner in Ngubeni with regard to Van Loggerenberg's statement. The reason for that is that they are actually not mentioned in the statement, and the link that the witness made yesterday during his testimony was not something he had indicated before. It was something he said following the testimony, and as a result of that, I had intended that a Rule 33 notice would be sent so that they could know that on this date he testified and this is what he said, and there could then be a response. So I think that addresses why that occurred. The second is the issue of the request for information. I also don't have the letter here in front of me, but from what I recall, it's not a request for documents that are referred to in the statement. It's a request for further documents, as in General Lebeya's letter of appointment and that kind of thing. Now, whilst the Commission will always be cooperative and try and assist people who are implicated to obtain documentation, it isn't the role of the Commission to then carry out fact or document acquiring exercises on behalf of every implicated person. And as I've understood it, it is generally the attitude, if we have those documents, we will provide them, and if we can easily facilitate you getting those documents, as in this instance, if it's his formal letter of appointment, etc., that, I'm not saying that is definitely one of the things, but it's what I think I remember, that we can approach General Lebeya and those documents can be provided.
Would have no business having the letter of appointment, his letters of appointment.
No. So that is the one other aspect. When one has regard to the other aspect.
Well, there is the former provincial commissioner. Was she sent a Rule 33 notice in regard to Colonel Loggerenberg's evidence?
I don't believe so, and I don't have the statement in front of me, and I don't like to make submissions unless I can double check I'm correct. But
Why would it not have been sent to her? Because Colonel Loggerenberg's evidence and statement, or at least the evidence he gave with regard to various certain documents,
yes,
did implicate the former provincial
it
commissioner.
certainly did, and I understand from what I recall that in respect of Van Loggerenberg's evidence, the list, every single person for whom a Rule 33 notice was prepared was sent and received a notice.
But that doesn't answer the question. Was a Rule 33 notice prepared and sent in regard to the former provincial commissioner?
I've asked the investigator to go and check that. As I indicated to you, I'm not sure if I indicated in chambers or at the hearing yesterday, I was not the evidence leader who prepared those Rule 33 notices. I can't make a submission to you unless I know it's true or false. I need to verify that.
Yes, but it may or may not be that somebody else is dealt with the Rule 33 notices. But
I led the
if
evidence.
you are going to lead the evidence,
yes,
one of the things you should satisfy yourself on is that
yes,
anyone who is going to be implicated by the evidence of the witness was sent a 33 notice. So you have got to say, who are the people who are going to be implicated here? Were all the 33 notices sent? So that if they were not sent, you can then take steps. You can then make up your mind what you want to do about that. And I can be informed that there is a problem in regard to the evidence of that witness, because we have discovered that the relevant 33 notices were not sent. I have to rely on the legal team that they would have checked all of those things, and that if there is a problem, they will tell me.
Chair, I cannot believe that a Rule 33 notice wasn't sent, but I need to check that, and perhaps by the time I've finished addressing you on the other aspect, the investigator will be back and I can have an answer for you on that. Because if it was sent, then it's not an issue that needs to be further addressed. If it wasn't sent, that certainly
if it was
is something.
sent and counsel says they say they didn't get it, then there would need to be further investigation as
Yes,
to
absolutely.
how that came about, that
Yes.
it was sent but they didn't receive it.
Absolutely.
Okay, now what is your report back?
Chair, I have had the opportunity in the break that you afforded me to discuss the issues raised by you with General Lebeya. And what he says is that further investigation is not going to reveal a direct link, he doesn't believe. What his view is that his statement falls within the terms of reference because of a number of factors which constitute circumstantial evidence. When viewed together, you see the picture that he was targeted, perhaps not so much for the investigation into Mdluli's wrongdoings at Crime Intelligence, but because of his alleged involvement in a conspiracy against General Mdluli. And you will remember from the papers, Chair, that once these investigations had commenced and General Mdluli was suspended, he addressed a letter to the former president, and he said, "These are the generals who are conspiring against me." And he attached affidavits by persons saying that they had been told by a witness, Ronnie Naidu, that they had conspired with General Chele and the aim was to get rid of Mdluli, and the implication is that all these irregularities are trumped-up charges, and he is being pursued. Disciplinary proceedings are being pursued. He's being charged in this, in the murder investigation again. Intlumeza has given a report that says that this is also as a result of a conspiracy against him. And Chair, you will remember the evidence of what is the witnesses who testified, who are called colloquially the spooks, and particularly the evidence of Moshe, where he said that when they were at the Secret Service Agency, they were tasked with investigating these allegations of a conspiracy against General Mdluli. And they say they went to see the former president, and they told him about their investigations, and they assured him that their investigations had revealed that there was no such conspiracy. We do know that the former president refused to accept that, and he believed that, as he has averred himself in these proceedings, that there is a conspiracy against him. He believes too that there was a conspiracy against General Mdluli. One then also knows that the former president is, as referred to by you, Chair, earlier, that he says, who is this General Lebeya? Lebeya, I keep hearing his name. So yes, just on its own, we can't really put anything to it. But one then says the evidence of the witness is that after Lebeya is appointed, his life then becomes intolerable. And it would appear, if you look at the facts and her steadfast refusal to accept that she was sidelining him, that she was in effect demoting him. And when you look at the facts, and those are the facts, the correspondence and the letters are there, that she says there are only ranks among colonels.
Yes, you remember I said right at the beginning that there can be no doubt that if what Dr. Lebeya says in his statement is true, there can be no doubt that over a long period he was sidelined, he was ill-treated, he was prejudiced in many ways. And the concern I had was, doesn't appear to come out clearly why that was the case. And actually, I wanted to have a look. I think there is a paragraph towards the end of Dr. Lebeya's affidavit where he also says something that I interpreted as something that may lend credence to any proposition that might be advanced that this was done to him for personal dislike or something like that. Unfortunately, I don't think
Chair,
I might.
yes, it is also an issue that I canvassed with the General this morning.
You know the paragraph I'm talking about?
I believe it's paragraph 187 on page 72.
187.
Yes, on page 72.
Yes.
And he there says,
yes,
and
yeah.
it was when reading this,
Yeah, it is the paragraph I was looking for,
that
yeah.
is what struck me. I read that carefully, and then I went back to the first
Yeah, and let me
paragraph
just say,
I quoted.
before you proceed, it says, I am of a considered view that my dismissal was influenced by a developed personal prejudice of Pierre, which is demonstrated by, among others, blah, 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 blah. I accept that one must not read that in isolation, but it is something that concerned me as well.
Yes, and that, to be honest with you, Chair, it was in preparing last night, and then I got to the end of the affidavit, and I read that, and I thought, no, where is the link then? If this is what it is, it did concern me. That is why, without even receiving your message, I did canvass this very issue. But I must say that speaking to the General, and this morning and again now, I believe that my submission is that the probabilities are, as a result of the President, the former President, was, because of the treatment of Ndluli and his belief, and we understand his belief that there was a conspiracy against him and that General Lala was involved in that conspiracy, that ended his career. But I cannot, and I don't think it is going to be, I think that you are correct that a consultation should now take place with General Pierre, but I don't believe, and I can't see if it is necessary, that it is possible without her admitting it, which is unlikely, that you will be able to make a direct link. She was told by the former president, you must get rid of General Lebeya. I don't know how.
Well, I think what should happen is, which should have happened already, not just Ms. Pierre, but there may be other people
Yes.
who should be interviewed, who may well be able to throw more light,
Yes.
bring out more facts. Because Ms. Pierre will tell you whatever she will tell you. That's fine. She may admit having done some of the things alleged against her. She might deny others. She might give her own explanation and justification for why she did those that she will admit. But you need to go to other people as well. You may need to go into records, check certain records. What is it that could throw light to explain why what was done to Dr. Lebeya was done? It may be that what she will tell you will seem very plausible, so plausible that doesn't look like it would be justified to go further. But it may be that what she will tell you will still leave question marks, and therefore you may need to talk to other people, get some documentation, maybe some files need to be looked at, because on this statement, some of the things that were done to Dr. Lebeya are difficult to understand. You say, why was this done? But it may be that if further investigation is done, that which seems lacking will come out, and one can then see the picture in a way that allows one to say, no, now I can see how it fits into the terms of reference. For me, in terms of what I've seen here, to say it might be the former president who might have done whatever, or might have said to somebody, don't promote so-and-so, sideline him. At this stage, from what I see here, it's just a suspicion, nothing more than that. Obviously, we can't decide and make findings on suspicions. So, but I know you said, Dr. Lebeya said he doesn't think that further investigation will change the picture. Maybe he is right, but I would rather have a situation where we have satisfied ourselves that there's been a proper investigation, particularly to try and establish why what was done to him was done. There may well be other people. I mean, we have had situations where some witnesses might not have been prepared to say certain things in the past, but are prepared to say them now. It may well be that if a proper investigation to try and establish why all of this was done, maybe that something could come out. So I don't want to say at this stage this doesn't fall within the terms of reference. I don't want to say that, but I'm saying that it falls within doesn't come out as clearly as I would like it to come out. Certain portions might, but a large portion might not, and further investigation might well assist us. That's what I think, and I do get the impression that the legal team had also not applied its mind fully to that issue in time.
Yes, that's correct.
And I think maybe it's best that we adjourn the hearing of Dr. Lebeya's evidence for that further investigation to be done and for the legal team to apply its mind to this issue.
Yes.
And for further investigation to be done. And it may well be that as a result of the further investigation, further affidavits might be obtained from other witnesses who might be in a position to talk about this issue and maybe throw more light on this. If after all has been done, the position remains the same, then I can make a decision at that stage.
Yes.
So that's what I'm inclined to do.
Yes, I no objection to that happening. Chair, I have been told that the Provincial Commissioner in Kobeni received a Rule 33 notice in respect of Van Loggerenberg's evidence on the 20th of December 2019.
Was it sent to her on the 20th, or did she receive it on that day?
It's marked received.
Yeah.
But I will speak to my colleague and see why she believes it wasn't sent.
Okay.
We can make those investigations.
Okay, no, that's fine. Dr. Lebeya, I think that it is best that we adjourn the hearing of your evidence to allow the legal team to apply its mind to the issues that are troubling me, but also for further investigation to see whether the investigators can get evidence that throws light one way or another. We are not necessarily looking for evidence that supports you, even if it's evidence that shows that there was what you say is not true or what you believe is not true, but we must just get all the evidence that we can get. And after all that has been done and the legal team has applied its mind to the issues, then another date may then be arranged, and then we try and make a decision.
I agree, Judge.
You understand?
Thanks, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you. If you don't have any further issue to deal with, I would be ready to adjourn.
Yes,
you don't.
No.
The witness for tomorrow, who is coming tomorrow? Is it Mr. White?
The witness scheduled to come to tomorrow is Advocate Manyati, but he will be a short witness. I obviously was intending to spend part of tomorrow also leading General Lebeya. Trevor White is due to start on Monday. I've planned to consult with him again during the course of this weekend. I would ask your indulgence that I have that opportunity before I put him in the witness box tomorrow. So that I could start leading him and consult over the weekend and continue, but I would prefer, he's in Natal, he's coming up this weekend especially to consult.
Well, I've read the affidavit of Advocate Manyati. Yesterday I was talking about Advocate Mzinyati. I don't know if I'm confusing two people, but I've read his statement, his affidavit. It is short.
It is short.
I think he's not a witness that should come and give evidence in circumstances there where there would be no other witness that day, because we probably wouldn't take more than an hour.
No, I don't believe it will be more than an hour.
So he should be brought in when there is another witness or other witnesses that will be called, so that we don't convene the commission just for 1 hour.
Yes,
and
I
then
agree.
we go. But then I'm more concerned now because it means we are losing 2 days.
Yes, we are. And that is
I was hoping
unfortunate.
that Mr. White is the one coming tomorrow, and that we could hear his evidence tomorrow at least. But you say it's too difficult because you still need sessions with him.
I would prefer, Chair, to have the scheduled sessions with him.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that it does lose 2 days, and if Chair, if you wanted me to, I can try and approach him and see how far I could get, but...
But you say he comes from KZN.
He's coming from, yes, he's only due to come over the weekend, isn't it, to consult.
So I think with regard to the witness that was going to come tomorrow, you need to rearrange so that he can come on a day when there are other witnesses. Otherwise, just coming for a witness that will be 1 hour is not the best thing.
No,
it's
it's
something
not.
one should do only if really there are exceptional circumstances.
Yes.
So next week, it means you have Mr. White and who else?
And Colonel Deploy,
The two of them.
yes.
Where is General John Mart's statement? I've been saying for some time. Have we got it already? Not yet.
It
Or you
hasn't
don't
been
know?
obtained yet. There is some reluctance on his part, I believe, to provide a statement, but we will follow up on that and try and get a statement. And get his
okay.
cooperation to get a statement.
Okay, all right. Somebody must talk to me about obtaining certain statements from certain witnesses who fall under law enforcement agencies, because it's been quite some time that I've been expecting statements to have been taken from them. Okay, all right. We are going to adjourn the proceedings for today. I'm sorry to everybody that we are not able to continue for the whole day, and we won't sit tomorrow as well. I'm hoping that steps will be taken to make sure sure that we don't have situations which result in this. So we apologize to everybody and the public about that. So we won't sit tomorrow, and then we'll continue on Monday. Please apply your minds in regard to witnesses who are still coming. Apply your mind with regard to similar issues as the ones that have arisen today.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. We adjourn.
All rise.